I read an article recently about women at different ages and stages of life. In it, it said that our 20s are about becoming and figuring out who we are. In our 30s, we're starting a family, and career breakthroughs often take center stage. Our 40s are about finding the magic in the middle, finding our sweet spot. When we're in our 50s, we are coming back home to our bodies and being in tune with ourselves. In our 60s and 70s, the big picture comes into focus. We ask ourselves, what are our needs? In these decades, we don't need a new year to begin again or start something new. So on today's show, I have two women who have been there, done that, and have the t-shirts to prove it. We talk about marriage and liking the person that we are married to, not just love, but like, and how communication is key. We talk about loving ourselves and having confidence in knowing what we deserve, learning from our experiences and our mistakes. They share how they keep not just the body healthy, but also the mind. And we also talk about living our purpose and what that looks like. We discuss regrets and if they have any. So join us as we talk about aging gracefully while maintaining our sanity. And after you listen, don't forget to subscribe if you already haven't. Rate, review, and share this podcast.
Everything I've been through and everything that I've seen has turned me into the woman that you see. Behind all of the smiles and all your favorite melodies, what a fistful of tears, years grown up.
Hello, I am your host, Leonette Talley, and you are listening to Virago 24/7. Virago 24/7 is a weekly podcast that brings women together to share our stories. My friends and I sit down and have conversations about things going on in our lives and in our world. With each story, I'm hoping to learn and grow and to realize that we really weren't meant to do life alone. Here, you will find everyday growth, everyday healing, and everyday warriors.
Just give me my space to move. It's my thoughts, what I want, and I want what I want.
Hello, everyone. So today I am here with two lovely ladies. And when I was thinking about doing this topic, it's maintaining our sanity while getting older with grace. And I thought of these two women because every time I think about who I want to be when I grow up, it's these two because they are aging with such grace and they still have so much spunk in them. And I just want to have that energy when I get older. So I want to welcome Carolyn Harshaw. She is my sister-in-law. I am married to her brother. And hi, Carolyn. Welcome.
Hello. And I'd like to correct her. I am not her sister-in-law. I am her sister-in-love.
I forget that's how you introduce your in-laws. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Thanks for correcting me.
Okay. And I'll introduce myself.
Yes, ma'am.
And I always say Carolyn Talley Harshaw too. I use Talley as my middle name, just like my mom did. She used her maiden name, and to honor her legacy, because she's now with the ancestors, I use my middle name as my maiden name. My maiden name as my middle name, and then also it connects me to you guys.
It does. It does.
And I am 62 years old and I am retired. This is my year. Yay! I retired this year. I previously was a math teacher, middle school math teacher. And I must say COVID-19 inspired me to retire this year.
So our next guest is Hope Machado, and Hope has two children, and her son and I have been friends since we were 14. So Hope has known me for many, many years. And I used to hang out a lot at her house. And yeah, Hope, hello.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Doing well. I'm glad you're here.
Yes.
Well, you did say to state an age. Okay, today I'm 69.
Are you really?
Today I'm 69.
Aww.
Next week I'll be 70, but I'll stick to 69 as long
I love it. Oh yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Your birthdays are close. You and Jim.
Yes.
I forgot.
My husband's is today. Mine is next Tuesday, and the following Tuesday is my daughter Marissa.
So you're going to be 70 next week?
I will be 70.
I can't even believe that.
I had planned a big party, but with the COVID, I'm not doing it.
Happy pre-birthday. Happy birthday month.
Yes, month. That's exactly what we do. It's a whole month. Yes.
That's right.
Like you two are married to like awesome men. I mean, I don't know if it's always been awesome, but it seems like you guys all, I don't know, you have a rhythm and they cater to you. That's what I see from the outside looking in.
Okay, Carolyn, you want to brag about yours before I brag about mine? Yeah, Jim and I have been married for 46 years. It'll be 47 in February.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a while to look for the right man. I did a lot of dating, which is good. My dad didn't appreciate it, but that's okay because I really wanted to pick the right one. And I think I did. He was a little shy at first. And for some reason, we just got along great. We still laugh. We just laugh all the time because he's funny now. He's so funny. And he thinks all my jokes are funny. And that's good.
That is so cute.
Not. They're really corny.
But he laughs.
But sometimes when I come up with some good ones, he'll look at me and he'll say, "What's in your mind that makes you say that?" I said, "No, it's just things that come out of my mouth. I don't know. They're crazy."
I think that's so sweet. How about you, Carolyn? You've been married how long?
It's 25 years in 2020. And this is my second marriage. And I am married to the perfect husband for me. Mm-hmm. And I can relate to what Hope is saying. I mean, we love to laugh. Mm-hmm. And it's a joy to be with someone, especially in a pandemic, as I was telling Leonette earlier, to be with somebody that you really like being with. Mm-hmm. And I am so grateful for having a husband like that. And see, I've been around Hope and Jim, and I know that theirs is genuine. And that's the part that you really can see that. And we're not saying, I think Hope can tell you this, we're not saying that we don't have struggles and problems, but overall, we are blessed, right, Hope?
Oh, definitely. Oh, most definitely.
And I love to hear that because a lot of, women my age and, in their 40s and 30s, we're just trying to find our footing now, with having smaller children and all the activities. And I feel the same way as you all. Like, I like the person that I'm with. We have fun. I'm hilarious. So I make him laugh all the time. And, but not everyone has that, so how do you think that plays a major part? Being with someone that you like, I'm sure helps when when your kids are leaving the home and you're retiring and you have to be together all the time because you don't have the kids to be, the focus of your lives. Do you think that plays a big part, being with someone you like?
Yes. Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, you have to like the person first, and then you love the person when you start going out and thinking, boy, this is a nice guy. And we never would have thought that I'd be retired. We're both retired. I never would have thought we were going to be retired and every day, every evening, every night. And it's not hard at all. It's not. Yeah, sometimes I don't like the show that he puts out. I don't care for it. So I'll just get up quietly and just go to another room.
Yeah.
He'll say, "Aren't you going to watch it with me?" And I said, "Well, I've got some things to do. Let me put the laundry." And so I'll wait till the show's over. And then I come back down 30 minutes later and say, "Oh, is it over? Oh, okay. What's next?"
That's sweet, though.
He doesn't always like my shows either.
Mm-hmm.
So if he sits there and walks away, it's okay. He doesn't have to be close. He doesn't have to sit next to me. As long as, you let them breathe, do their own.
But you're not tired of him.
No. Mm-hmm. And I think what really helps is that he plays golf once a week. And that's good because my mom always said, the man has to go out with his friends at least once because that's when they, scratch their balls and, and cuss and, talk about, this woman they saw and stuff, which is fine, and then he comes back home and that's even better.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
Tired, but he comes home better. My mom didn't say that about him. I mean, it just, she says, let him go out once, but he'll always come back. Just like a puppy dog. You give him food and then come back. So when he comes home, I'll always have food. Oh, good. He came back.
That is hilarious, Hope. Oh my gosh. How about you, Carolyn?
That is so true, Hope. And it's amazing how there is more or less a formula for being happy in marriage. You have to allow the person to be who they are. Mm-hmm. And you like them and you love them. And you all don't have to like and love the same things because I just have a passion for period pieces when we're watching TV and he can't stand them. Mm-hmm. And so he knows that we're going to, and surprisingly, my husband is a fan of Lifetime.
He does? Really?
He likes Lifetime, and I can't stand it. Oh. I like different types of things, and also, and unfortunately, he's also not a fan of podcasts. Where I love podcasts, I'm a podcast junkie. And he doesn't like those, but we can still discuss the subject of the podcast and we can have, we can laugh about things and what we really like doing together, without a doubt, is exercising. Mm-hmm. And so we have that in common and, it is, you can have it all, but you can't have it all at the same time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's what I tell all the young women. You can have it all, but you can't have it all at the same time.
So what do you mean by that when you say that?
Okay. You have to know what you want, know who you are, and know what you're grateful for. You have to make a plan to get what you want. And you have to know that you're not going to have it all at the same time. You're going to be, sometime you're going to have your health is not going to be what you want it to be. And other times it will be. Your wealth or your financial situation may not be what you want it to be. And then other times you're going to be great. You're going to have it all together. And then you're going to be able, and one of the things that I'm so grateful for, and I want to tell Leonette, I am honored to be on this podcast, especially being such a fan of this podcast.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm glad you're here.
And spending time, my husband came up with the phrase, blood blended and extended. And all our family. And I just really enjoy the love that we share. And it is just a blessing to be around family. And we always tell people where we go, that is just the epitome of that is going to Leonette and Philip's home. Oh. But now we're in a pandemic, and so we can't do that. And so we're on Zoom, and we that is one of the things that we've had that. And of course, we've been to Jim and Hope's home, and it was wonderful. And we love that, but we can't do it now. And especially, we had to sit down and make a plan. My husband and I, we had to make a plan to decide how we were going to conduct ourselves during a global pandemic. And we had to agree. And so, and I would tell you this story. He messed up, and I put him in quarantine. And once he realized that he had broken one of our agreements for how you act during a pandemic, he didn't do it anymore. But it was so sweet how he ended up going into quarantine, because one of our grandbabies came over and he said, well, and they, and then it wasn't a mask wearing or anything. And he was wanting to hug her. And I was visiting from the window. And they went out together and they were on a walk and everything. And when he came back, I said, we can't do this. He was able to quarantine. And so he didn't like it at all, but he abided by my wishes. And that is love also.
Yes.
I like that story, Carolyn. Thank you for sharing. And that's exactly, you hit all the points that you mentioned. And I think that's good advice. I think the way you put it is right. And I think the key word that I got out of all your points was sharing. You share your feelings, your inner feelings. You didn't like that he was out there hugging, the kids and acting as if everything was, good. And it isn't. Unfortunately, it's not good right now. But you shared it with him. Did he get mad, upset? Probably a little bit. But then he realized she's looking out for me. She's looking out for the kids. And that's why he, abide and said, yes, I do need to quarantine. Yes, I do need to be careful.
Has it always been like that with y'all in your marriages when it comes to communicating? Were you ever afraid to communicate your feelings, or is it just you think it's a personality thing, or you grow into it?
With us, it started in the very beginning. When he first introduced me to his mother, he said, I just want to forewarn you, nobody's good enough for me. Maybe I shouldn't go. I'll wait for you in the car.
Oh my goodness.
I said, how am I supposed to take that? And he says, just be yourself. Just be yourself. So we went into the house, and my mother-in-law, and again, Carolyn, she's not my mother-in-law. She's my mom.
Yes.
She was so nice, and she worked at a hospital. She was supervising the housekeeping department. And in hospitals, housekeeping, you have to have the hospital tip-top. She did the white glove above the door, that type of thing, because that's her job. And she was dedicated, and she knew that cleanliness had to be a number one, top of the list in a hospital. And when I found out that that's what she was, and then I said, oh my God, I'm going to your house, and I'm going to be those type of women that look at the floor and go, oh, I could probably eat off of that. And, my husband says, no, she's, she doesn't do that. Although she did, she's a scrubber. Oh God, I think every time she was a woman that never sat down. We'll run along that one. When I met her, I found her to be a strong woman and so wonderful because of my husband being the person that he is. And he grew up, he would tell me that he would sit in the kitchen table and he would talk to his mom while she's making dinner. And she would tell him, he says, if you ever get pregnant, don't think you're going to come around here. You have to be a man You have to, raise your family, and it's not going to be in this house. So luckily, my husband thought of that a lot of times when he was growing up, as well as he was in the military. So I'm sure he had a lot of opportunities and stuff. But, he says, that's the only thing that kept coming back. My mother telling me, oh, okay, just remember.
You're on your own if this happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I found her to be really, really strong. And excuse me. And that's who my husband is. He had his mother's training, his mother's characteristics. And he's not afraid to say, no, hon, go ahead and sit down. When we were both working, no, hon, go ahead and sit down. Let me just go ahead and, do the dishes. Or, I'll bathe the kids. If you want to put your feet up, that's okay. Don't worry about the dishes. We'll get them later. I mean, it was things like that he instilled, or his mother instilled. And that's why I don't understand why some people don't love their in-laws or their mother-in-law. You got to think of the man you marry. And he's wonderful. He's so considerate. And I imagine his mother instilled that.
And to answer your question, Leonette, it was from the very beginning. And my mother, because I call her mother, she was also a nurse. And I see my mother in my husband. And it's so clear. And I don't understand either how you couldn't love the family that your husband comes from if you love your husband. Mm-hmm. So, but
sometimes I think they probably go into it thinking loving the husband, but once you're in it, you realize, okay, this might not be the person for me. So I think a lot of people stay married. They don't express themselves. They don't share what they're really feeling, and they're very unhappy. I see.
And I believe that you have to share your feelings, and you do it from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And it's because this is my second marriage, and I know that you cannot stay in a marriage where you are unhappy. And my first marriage, may he rest in peace. He was very abusive, and I got out as soon as I could. And my girlfriends and I tease each other because I say, may he rest in peace. And they look at me and I say, oh, no, I didn't kill him.
He died later. Oh later. My gosh. That is funny.
Well, after our divorce. And but he was not the man for me. We had problems from the very beginning. But like you say, you go into it and you say, oh, I'm in love. But we had nothing in common. Mm-hmm. But he was good looking.
Mm-hmm. That's it. And you didn't have any children together.
No.
So what do you tell someone who they've had children with the person that they don't really like, and they stay for the kids?
Get out.
You still get out.
You still get out because, like Hope said, you're going to the children are going to be influenced by what they see in the marriage. Mm-hmm. And it does not help your children to be with somebody that you find offensive. Mm-hmm. You want the best for your children, and you want the best for yourself. And when you get out of it early on, you have an opportunity to find the person for you. Mm-hmm. And my brother, it took him 3 marriages. Mm-hmm. The third time,
your other brother, not Philip. Just to clarify, not Philip the brother, no, right? The other brother. I am not the third wife. I'm the second.
No, you're not.
But yeah. So it took him 3 times.
Yes, yeah. And of course, Linda is also my sister-in-law.
Oh yeah, she's awesome. She's
yes.
amazing. Yeah, she's a good
one. And so, what if he had stayed? And of course, I loved all of his wives. I accepted all of his wives, but I know that he's better with his wife now. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful to be with somebody that, as we said earlier, somebody you really like. Mm-hmm.
Carolyn, you can tell, right, how he's happier. You can tell when a man is happy.
Yes, definitely.
Well, I know a few people now in my life that are in unhappy marriages, and it's so sad to watch, and it's so sad to see that they accept that this is just the way it is because I have kids and I can't leave, and I don't know. I'm more like you, Carolyn. It's like you get out and you'll figure it out, and everything always works out in the end, you know?
It does.
Yes.
So, it does. You know, if you're not happy, you know, you got to do something. Either share your feelings with that person and say, you know, I don't like this, or this is bothering me a bit. What do you think? You know, what would you, you know? And so that's where you start sharing your ideas. Now, if they were definitely the opposite, I think we better talk about it with a marriage, maybe counselor, or let's just go our separate ways.
And I like that you said that, Hope, because I'm a big proponent for therapy. Mm-hmm. And so you can try that. If it doesn't work, get out. Mm-hmm. to all the people who will be listening to this podcast, get out.
Life is too short to be unhappy.
And what if the woman is, you know, a stay-at-home mom and the man's the breadwinner and they feel like they're stuck because they're not the ones making the money? What would you say to them?
I would say, honey, you know, do you think I should go back to college and finish that degree that I started? You know, I think that'd be a good idea. And would you mind taking care of the kids while I go to night school?
So get everything in order before you get out.
Skills ready. Yes, most definitely.
I like that.
And there's other jobs too that you don't have to have a college degree. You know, if you like teaching, you can be a teacher's assistant. You know,
exactly.
There's other jobs. But if there's a will, there's a way. And you know, it's going to be hard, definitely hard. But the number one is, am I going to be happy doing that? Or am I going to be happy in this situation? I want to be happy. That's all. You just go into the marriage saying, I want to be happy. What is it going to take to be happy? A, B, C, D. If D doesn't work, let's try another one. If it doesn't, then there's something wrong with the ABCs here.
That's right. Make a plan. And that is make a plan, make your decisions and choices. You have to surround yourself with, you can't be what you can't see. Mm-hmm. So if you're in a marriage, look to people who have happy marriages. Mm-hmm. And if you see that yours is not going that way, you're not doing, you know, seek help. And to your person that is feels like she's trapped because she's a stay-at-home mom and she doesn't have income, I say you have to love your children more and be willing to sacrifice. You might have a cushion where you're safe. But you're not. Mm-hmm. You're not safe, and your children aren't safe. And so get out there. And I remember when I was in my first marriage, and I didn't have any children, but you could do the same thing if you have children. Be willing to leave and, you know, maybe get a studio apartment. Find you just some work where you can are moved in with somebody else until you can work your way out of and get what you really want.
Yeah. And deserve too.
And that's right. You deserve the best.
Mm-hmm. But you got to love yourself too.
Love yourself first.
So how do you get there? How have you always, the both of you, have you always loved yourselves, or is that something that came with age, or you've always Just been confident women?
No, I was in a somewhat situation like Carolyn. I was in an abusive relationship in high school, and it was verbal, mostly. And then later on, when we got to college, then it became physical. And I just had to put the brakes and think, why am I not happy? What is it about this situation that I'm not happy on? I can't understand. I couldn't understand why. I loved him so much, as they say.
Yes.
So, he's awesome, and he's going to college too, so he's not a loser. And then I thought, but why am I not happy? And then I got to thinking, if we get married, is this going to continue? Oh, no, I put a stop to that and said, no, this is not going to continue. I'm not going to change him. I'm not with the ideas. Oh, once we get married and I'll be able to change him. No, once a man is the way he is. And that's why you date. That's why it's a good thing you date. Mm-hmm. Date other people and find out how they are, how they treat you and stuff. And he wasn't treating me good. Mm-hmm. So I finally just kind of woke up one day, and I was driving to college. I had a speech class about 10:30, I think it was. And he wasn't coming in till 12. And so he said, why don't you just skip the class? And I thought to myself, why am I skipping the class? That's the best class of all of them. I don't like math. I don't like English. I said, but the speech class that I took, I said, it's wonderful. I loved it. And then when he kept saying, no, why don't you just wait, and I'll pick you up at 10 and we'll go out to eat and we'll go, here or there. And I thought, well, how selfish of him that he doesn't want me to go to my class, my favorite class. I said, no, that's not going to work. And then eventually through some circumstances, I decided to put the stop, and that's what I did. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't bad. I didn't feel bad. I didn't cry. It just felt good to just relieve myself. It was like something really tight around me. And I couldn't do this, and I couldn't do that, and it wasn't enjoyable. And it was just like a breath of fresh air, as they say. And then I started going out, and I met up with some of the guys that I used to know in high school. And when I was going to the clubs and all, and they looked at me and said, I thought you'd be married by now. And I said, no, it didn't work out. And they would confess, they would tell me to my face, if you weren't going out with Bill, I would have dated you. There was, what buddy wanted me to get your number? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what am I doing? What I missed out on.
So he was blocking you. Right. He was blocking you from your blessings.
I know you guys.
Yeah.
But I didn't know because of that, that awful, that I wasn't pretty. I wasn't this, and didn't like the way I dressed. Didn't like anything. Mm-hmm. It was always a complaint, it seemed like. Mm-hmm. And I kept thinking, what? I'm not that ugly, and I dress okay. I don't have expensive clothes, but at least I dress nice. I wasn't showing my mini skirts. Yeah. Because mini skirts were popular at the time. I could not wear a mini skirt.
Oh, he didn't let you?
He did not like mini skirts. He
didn't
want me to wear a mini skirt. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I was like an old lady, right around my knee or below my knee. Mm-hmm. Boy, when I think of that, I laugh now.
Like you would never do that now.
You're right.
Not.
And you, Carolyn, have you grown confident with age, or is that something that you've always had?
I had a little confidence, and through aging, I have become more and more confident. And having the experience, like Hope said, when you are in an abusive because a relationship, you when you get out, you're able to look back on it and you say, look what I missed out on. Mm-hmm. And just like Hope, when the guys were telling you, I'm thinking, I could have dated him. Mm-hmm. And of course, I did down the line. I was able to date some really good guys and have some real fun. And of course, you all know I like to dance. Yes. And so I was able to really enjoy my life once I got away from him. Mm-hmm. And I remember him telling me, you think you're better than I am. And I said, it's not that I think that I'm better than you. You think I'm better than you. Mm. And then of course, bam.
Mm. Wake, Carolyn, wake.
Yeah. Wow. But I said, I gotta wake up.
So he lacked confidence.
Yes, he lacked confidence. And so you gain confidence as you age, mm-hmm. and as you have experiences in life, and you I had this dream during this time period where my maternal grandfather came to me in a dream, and he said, look back on your life and you will see that you are a winner. Mm. And after I got away from him, I was just having so much fun. And I joined a snow skiing group, National Brotherhood of Skiers. And I was traveling, and I was just going all over the world, and I was enjoying life. Mm-hmm. And once you are able to have some enjoyment, you are, like my grandfather said, you're able to look back on your life and see that you are a winner. And then you have that confidence and you say, I'm pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And you said, Carolyn, make a plan to get it. Make decisions and choices based on intuition, inspiration, and intellect, rather than irritation, boredom, or fear. What do you mean by that?
I'm glad you asked that question. Oftentimes, especially when you're learning and growing and you're younger, you just make rash decisions. You want everything to work out for you. Mm-hmm. And if something, you're bored mm-hmm. and you go and do something, or you are fearful, just like your friend who is staying in a marriage because she fears not getting out on her own, that she won't make it. But when you look within your heart and you allow God to guide you, that's your inspiration. God will let you know where you're supposed to be and who you're supposed to be with. And the intuition, and really, that just goes exactly with your podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You are inspired by other women who you admire, and you say, I can be like so-and-so. I can be like her. And when you see each other, you know that woman has it together, and you're inspired by that woman. And then the other thing is just plain common sense. That's what I call the intellect. Mm-hmm. Use your common sense. There you go.
Well, and I feel like I tell women this all the time, because I'm just now starting to really listen to my intuition. And it's that little voice inside of you that in your 20s, you ignore it. You want to be the nice person. You don't want to hurt people's feelings. But we all get a feeling about people, situations that we're in, but we just kind of push it out the way. And that's when we get into trouble. But exactly. I just know women now that still don't really listen to it because they're afraid. Like, how do you get over something like that? They're afraid of what the outcome would be if they listen to it and act on their intuitions.
As a teacher, a math teacher, I understand fear. And I tell my students and all of my children and anybody I'm around, mistakes are an opportunity to learn. Do not don't fear making a mistake, because you're going to learn something from that mistake. And then you know what to do the next time. And so get out there, make those mistakes, embrace them. Mm-hmm. And when I was in the classroom, I would tell my students, I understand how you got that answer. And I would say, it's not any right way or wrong way to do math. I said, long as you can explain and justify your actions, you're good. Mm-hmm. But if it doesn't make sense to you, then you know that is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good analogy. I like that.
Intuition, just like you said, Leonard, it's just the intuition. Something's not right. You have that little feeling, something's not right. And that's the way I felt, with that relationship. I kept saying, it's not right. Mm-hmm. I'm not happy and he's not happy. So what are we doing? And when I think about it, it's because we started dating, what were we? Let me see, 16, I think it was. About 20, almost in our 20s. And through the years, you grow. And you're supposed to grow. Just like a little baby grows from diaper to trainers, And so your life is something like that. You wake up, you learn and from past mistakes and go, well, I'm not going to do that again. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly where I am now. I wasn't going to do that again anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's how I feel like, with Kaylin's dad. He didn't like anything about me. Like all the stuff that Philip loves about me, he couldn't stand. Like how you were saying, Hope, he didn't like the way I dressed. He didn't like how I talk sometimes. He didn't like my jokes. He didn't like any of that. But then I have this baby with him. And then you feel like you have to stay with that person. But it just got to a point where it's like, this is not the way it's supposed to be. I can't force it just because I grew up being told, first of all, don't have sex before marriage. That was very much prefaced, but hey, there I was with this baby now. And so you want to make it work because you don't want to be wrong. You didn't want to be the one to make that wrong decision. And they told you so, but you went ahead and did it anyways. And I'm glad I didn't stick around either, because that would have been a huge mistake. I'm glad I never married him. I'm glad he never asked. And now I'm with someone who loves all the things that he hated about me. My husband loves about me, and once
all of you.
Oh, yes. All of you.
Craziness and the corny jokes and excitement you feel when the Cowboys win.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I say this all the time. We would never divorce. But for that crazy chance that it happened, I don't know. And I started dating again. I would be the worst dater because I know how I need to be treated. And one red flag, you're done. Like my intuition is going to tell me right off.
Yes.
You would be gone. I'm not going to give you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chances. Like that's it. So maybe it's best I'm not out there in the world dating.
Yes.
And, and what I think, we talk about is because we're going up in age. And we just lost a very dear friend of ours a couple of weeks ago. When you are with this person for so many years, and I keep teasing Jim, I said, when I leave this world, I said, I don't want to see you with no 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Driving my Mustang.
Yes.
I don't have yet, but I will someday.
That is so funny. I say that. I'm like, please don't marry anybody or be with someone that I know. I want you to have a stranger, not anybody that I know currently. No friends or nothing like that. Find a stranger.
Yeah, I don't know why we always talk about that. He confesses, no, I'm not going to get married. I said, well, I want you to date, for crying out loud. Mm-hmm. You have a wonderful personality and you're fun to be with. And we have a lot of rich ladies in our church. Marie and Miss Sue. And I don't know what it is about these ladies, but they're all driving Lexus and BMW.
So you want him to snatch one of them up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. They must have had a good, either a good pension or their husbands left them with a good IRA.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
But yeah, I always tease them, or I poke somebody and say, you see, she just became a widow. Just remember, let's go see what she's driving. And then I'll give you my seal of approval.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So you're scoping out women for Jim when you pass.
That'll be when I'm gone. Don't you?
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, I really would prefer that he does stay, because I want, somebody else to, find happiness with him. Be a little bit happy, not too much, but just a little.
Not as happy as you two are.
Not as happy.
Yeah.
But he will at least, find some companionship and laugh again, like we used to do.
Well, hopefully that won't be anytime soon. Physically, what do you all do? And mentally, what is it that you do to keep you feeling healthy and liking who you are? What do you all do for that?
There's a lot of really good cooking shows. Oh, I love these cooking shows. But then when they start pulling out these ingredients that I don't know what they are, the one they pull out a lot is Hungarian paprika. What in the world is Hungarian paprika? I just have the one, McCormick, the one they sell at Kroger,
You have the regular paprika, not that Hungarian kind of.
I'll just keep sitting there looking for another recipe. But yeah, cooking, I think we've gotten into a little bit more cooking. Well,
I was reading an article on how to age gracefully, and they said you need to get sleep and that you shouldn't drink a lot and you need to eat healthy and you need to exercise. And I'm just like, and you shouldn't. Yeah. I'm like, you shouldn't drink that much. No, so you guys lay off the alcohol as you get older?
Well, let's go to the next subject.
I know, right? I'm like, please don't tell me that that's how you age gracefully is stop drinking, because I don't want to hear it.
I'm sorry. Is that who said?
I don't know. It was on the internet. I was like, oh, next. I'm not going to talk about this. This is horrible.
I am a prayer and meditation, mindfulness, yoga, exercise nut.
Every day.
Every day.
Were you always like this, or has it gotten more consistent as you've gotten older?
It's gotten more consistent as I have gotten older. I like music and dancing and binge watching good TV, like Ozark. That was one that we agreed on, and we were into that. But wine is good for me.
Okay. Keep drinking the wine. All right.
Keep drinking wine. And I also, Lynette, I also read those articles and about what you need to do and all that. Mm-hmm. So I did. I started drinking less wine and I switched to red wine.
Okay.
Yes. Red blend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, Hope likes the red wine.
So I am going with that because I discovered the mindfulness. It's called the mind diet. And they said that, it's good to drink red wine. And so I'm going with that. And of course, we're already vegans.
That's true. So you already eat well.
Right. So, and that's something that we've been doing since all the years of marriage. And going back to what Hope was saying, I told Dwight, I said, I want you to marry if I go first. I want you to remarry, but you have to make sure that she is a vegan.
Oh, well, she's got stipulations.
I know.
Yes.
Writing. Make sure you put that in writing and have her sign.
Okay, she has to be a vegan. She has to be a vegan. What else?
I don't want it to be anybody I know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to age appropriate because I don't think that it would be best for him to, be with somebody. I think the most I could probably say for him would maybe be 2 to 5 years difference.
Put that in writing.
That's very specific, 2 to 5 years.
I said, put it in writing.
I love this. And it's all about me wanting him to be happy.
Yeah.
Because I want him to remarry, but I know what would make him happy. And then he'll just tell me, he says, oh, forget about it. I'll just go after you go. He said, how likely am I going to be able to find all of that?
That's so true. She has to be vegan. Not anybody you know, in 2 to 5 years age difference.
At the most.
At the most. That's funny.
But one thing I want to say is, if you decide, it's your choice. You have to decide what brings you pleasure and comfort, because I am a person who loves exercise and yoga and meditation, prayer, and all of that. I was a fitness instructor. That was one of my things before I became a math teacher. And before I became a stay-at-home mom. I absolutely love exercise. So that's for me. But it's not, I don't believe that you can't be healthy if you don't exercise every day. And now, as I grow older, I realize there is not just one way to be. What works for me may not work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And and one of the things, you have to be willing to choose what brings you pleasure, comfort. Now, I don't want to harm anybody, but I will say no without any guilt. If somebody is doing something and I don't like it, I won't participate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to say no, and I think that comes with age, and you're as you become older, you realize that I don't have to please other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that you say that, because I'm starting to understand that more.
And you want to do what you want.
Yeah. And I'm glad you guys are saying that, because I'm learning that. And then I feel like I'm being a diva, when I'm expressing what I like and don't like. And so.
And why not? We should all be divas.
Exactly. Hope, you said it. And I believe that we're all, and we're meant to be queens.
That's right.
So you're giving me permission. You're giving us permission to be divas. I like it.
Yes.
I like it.
Be a diva.
Phil will probably never talk to us again once you say, well, Carolyn and Hope said I'm a diva, and therefore
I'm learning these things, and it feels good. Sometimes you kind of second guess, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't be this way.
Who else is going to take care of you? You have to take care of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's right. That is so true.
So do you ladies think that you know what your purpose is? Because a lot of us are living our purpose or still searching for our purpose. And as you've gotten older, do you feel like you've found what you were put on this earth to do? Are you still searching?
I'm still searching. I'm the type that procrastinates. Oh, I should have volunteered for that. Oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. And I still don't. I really don't. I still think that I'm looking for my purpose. I really do. And my church, my parish was offering seminars. I think it was called The Journey, which involves your Christian, putting God there and then trying to find it through him with his help. And I was this close to signing up, and then I backed out. I myself, now why did I not sign up?
Why didn't you?
Because I had a lot of sharing from what I found out from the other ladies, and said, oh, you ought to try it. Come on, let's all go. And then when they said, it gave a little synopsis as to what it was, we read the passage, and then I believe God's telling you, open the Bible, people. It's telling you how to live.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. But, a lot of times we don't want to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's not really what he's trying to say. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's telling you. I don't know why you don't listen.
Mm-hmm.
This is me. I still don't know what I want. And I got to stay with one of my girlfriends that I used to hang around not in high school, after high school. we talked and we talked, and come to find out that both of us are still not reached our potential. We still don't know what our journey is. We think we're in the right track, but somehow or other, it just, we veer off and then we come back. Sort of like a drunk driver. We're this way and we're swaying to the other lane. And then, and that's what her and I discussed it. And that's what we thought we were going to do this new year. We're going to find out what exactly, why am I here? Why?
I love that.
That question. Why am I here?
You know, in our 40s, a lot of my friends are in their 40s or late 30s, and we feel like we should already know and we should already have it all together and we should be doing what we were meant to do. And so you're saying that's not true. That's not the case.
No, and I don't know. And I still, I just still don't know. I still don't know.
How about you, Carolyn?
I am so glad you asked. First, I'd like to disagree with Hope.
Okay.
She is living her purpose. You know that you are living your purpose when you have joy. God is love. And what God puts forth for you, that is your purpose. Your purpose may change. And whatever you're doing that is working, that is your purpose. When I'm retired now, but my purpose is going to change. And I don't know when it's going to change, but God will let me know. Because when I was a teacher, my purpose was transformation and empowerment. I was teaching to be an example and to transform lives and to empower students to build their confidence. And I'm a math teacher, so transformation, and I taught my students, is transformation in math is translating. That means that you move along vertically and horizontally. You rotate, and you may do a 180-degree turn or 90-degree turn, and because a complete circle is 360 degrees. You rotate. And reflect is when you flip over the axis and you reflect back. And that's what happens in your life. You reflect. And right now, since I'm retired, newly retired, I'm reflecting on my life from the past, and I am waiting for God to reveal my next purpose. There's not just one purpose for your life. At some time, your purpose may be just to be a good mother. Mm-hmm. Another time, it may be to be a good wife. Another time, it may be just to be a diva. It may be to inspire others. And so we have more than one purpose, and we may be participating in service, but there are some things that all of us should be doing on purpose. Mm-hmm. And I believe with all my heart, and especially with the recent things that have been happening, especially at the Capitol, we all have an obligation to be advocates and activists for anti-white supremacy, racism, anti-sexism, anti-homophobia, anti-classism, anti-abuse and violence. And that is my purpose for right now, mm-hmm. that I want to pass on the values to all within my circle of influence. The bottom line is we want a just society. We want righteousness. We want harmony. We want all to tell the truth. We need to be there for each other. And maybe right now that's my purpose. To tell as many people as I can and spread that word that that's what we're supposed to be doing right now.
I like that point, Carolyn, that our purpose is always changing. And I like that. I think that gives, I wish I would have asked you this 10, 12 years ago when I was having these babies. Because I felt like this is not my purpose, is to be at home with these kids. But it was. And now I see it, looking back on it, I see that was my purpose, is to raise them the way, that they should be raised, with these values and what you just mentioned. So I think we have to remember that when we're in something, I feel like sometimes we just, as humans, we're always looking and not really realizing what's in front of you and where you are right now. What can I do with this moment and with my time? And that could be your purpose for that moment. I love that. I'm going to keep that for the future, because that's inspiring to.
And I'm hoping that this podcast will inspire others. I mean, not just women, but others, no matter what age. This has got to be an inspiration.
Yes.
I hope so.
And that is your purpose for right now, Leonette, doing this podcast and giving others opportunities and inspiring. As Hope said, you're inspiring not just women. You're inspiring men and young teenage boys and
yeah. I did it more to just give a voice to people. I didn't realize that it would affect. I've been getting a lot of good feedback, so it's more than I had envisioned. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah. I would encourage you. Yeah. Let's put everybody in what age. It doesn't matter. Single, divorced, whatever. Just let them talk and let them share.
Yep.
Yes.
That'll inspire someone else to say, hey, you know what? She's got a point there. Yeah, that sounds good. And we'll be able to change this world to the wonderful world that Carolyn.
I know, right? Carolyn, that was a very beautiful world.
But I am an optimist.
You are.
And that's the way I grew up. But as I get older, I'm becoming more realistic too. So I can now call myself a realistic optimist. There's always hope, no matter how dire a situation is. But I'm looking at reality more so now.
You also said, Carolyn, accept the things you cannot change. I'm wondering if that's a family thing, because Philip puts that in my head. Like, you don't get anxious about things you can't control. So what do you mean by that? And I think you put examples of menopause. Exactly.
I gave the example of, I give you the example of being a caregiver. My father has Parkinson, and a part of his Parkinson is dementia. My oldest sister has multiple dementias. And so I am one of the primary caregivers for both of them, along with my brother, the middle brother. And we are obligated to do right by them. But we had to make wise decisions to know that we couldn't do it by ourselves. And they are both in facilities. My sister is in assisted living. My father is in a nursing home, but we put them in the best one. And I don't have any control over that. And Lynette, it is a family thing, because we have a brother who is a addict. He's been in recovery for years. And that is the serenity prayer. That's the accept the things you cannot change, have the strength and courage to change the things you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And so that is something that is aging, is what that is definitely about. And I gave the example of menopause. I thought I had escaped it.
It didn't come for you?
It came for me.
But you thought you had skipped it?
Yes. And when I hit late 50s, 60, it's amazing what happens. And then you have to accept it. And you have to work things out. And I tell my friends, I say, if you see a woman with a winter coat and underneath it is she's got on a tube top.
That's you?
Or a sundress with spaghetti straps. You know that she's going through menopause.
Oh my gosh. I'm already hot-natured. I'm not looking forward to it because of the whole heat. I sweat now and
You're what you call perimenopausal.
Something. I sweat all the time. It's ridiculous. Did you experience that, Hope?
I was trying to think when it was. I know it came in 1950. And I was working in the office, with AT&T. And I remember being in a call with this customer, and I remember distinctly. And I remember saying, "Oh my gosh, it's hot in here." Oh. And so it was just somebody had lit the match on my 2 feet, and the fire just came up all the way to the tops, to the tips of my fingers, all the way to the roots of my hair. It just felt that way. That's the way it feels like. Somebody am I on fire? If I could have stripped down my birthday suit, I would have.
Yes.
Now at age 60, I'm still holding on to 60s. I am so cold, but I'm always cold. I'm always cold now, and that's the difference, us. And so what I've done now, when you were talking about drinking, I found out that if I drink cognac, when I'm really cold, if I drink cognac, just a little bit, Jim always does a double take. Is this for me and you to share? And I said, I wasn't planning on it, but okay.
You just poured a little heavy pour.
And it warms me up to where I can, at least finish watching TV or,
right.
And it makes you feel good too.
It doesn't really affect me.
Really?
I'm looking warm. That's what if cognac brings me warm, I am drinking my Hennessy and keeping warm.
Oh, I love it. That's why I look up to the two of you.
Oh, yes. I love that.
Yeah. I think as just humans, we get older and it's just like, oh my gosh, when this is, when my kids are older, then my life is over, and when, with every stage, you're like freaking out about getting older. But you guys travel still, you hang out, you party, and I love that. I love that about the two of you.
Why would you change? Just because we're old doesn't mean we're just going to sit here and knit. That's something I do not do. I had this lady friend at church. Oh, you want to join our knitting class? I can't even color in the lines. Okay. I am not going to do knitting.
No knitting.
I have arthritis on my fingers. It hurts. It hurts to even.
And even if you could, that's not your thing.
That is not to sit there, that and bingo. We're not going to do bingo. I just couldn't sit there. Somebody shout.
That is so right, Hope. Say no.
Talk, get me a beer and, let's talk.
That's right.
Let's talk. And then they tell me, oh, no, you can't talk at the bingo. Oh, no, count me out. I'm not going.
They won't let you talk at bingo.
Talk at bingo because they give you a dirty look. Those people, what? What did she say? What number?
Oh, my gosh, that's hilarious.
I tried it once and with my girlfriend back in Texas. She invited me and I was trying to be nice. I said, yeah, I'll go with you at the VFW or American Legion, one of those two places. And when they sat there and I said, looked around, I said, do they sell wine? She says, no, it's just beer and I think they sell nachos. So I said, okay, I'll go get a beer and nacho. Well, the bingo started and I wasn't there yet.
You were getting your beer.
I was getting my beer.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah, I don't think I'll be a bingo and knitting kind of girl either.
No to bingo, no to knitting.
I love that. Just because you're in your 70s doesn't mean you have to knit and play bingo. Oh my gosh. So looking back on your lives, do you guys even believe in regret, or do you have any regrets?
Well, go back to that high school mess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish somebody would have just told me, this isn't going to work, which I'm sure inside it was in there. It was in there. My intuition said, you got to leave. But it was the insecurity of, being told that I wasn't very pretty, that nobody would date me, that I, putting me down all the time. And I guess I was starting to believe it. And I thought, oh man, if I stop dating, if I break up with him, who am I going to take to the prom?
Mm-hmm.
I know. And then I had a terrible time. Oh, I can't even begin to tell you the terrible time I had. But anyway, that should be your other podcast. A lot of these high schoolers, I guess you would call them, or young ladies maybe, where they get in a situation like that you don't know what verbal abuse was, because they didn't have it at my house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember any of my friends talking about that abuse. And, you have to leave. You have to leave. You have to think of you first. You have to love yourself first and say, yeah, I can do it. And, funny, this came to my mind. If I break out in tears, excuse me. I had a girlfriend, she's a cheerleader, cute girl, Ida. I'll mention her name, Ida. Her name was Idalia, but she went by Ida. She was always bubbly and always, she was cheerleader. She went with the football guy. Well, as time went on, he went on to get his master's and, doing all these football games and banquets and all. And she was always home with the kids. And she was smart. She really was. She wasn't dumb. She was bright. They had a transfer. He transferred to, Texas Tech, I believe, up in Lubbock, Texas. And because he wanted to finish up there, he'd gotten a big promotion. And he went and she went. And she felt lost because she had no friends and she didn't know what to do. But see, she was smart because her husband got her a job there at the high school, being a high school secretary. And because she was so good at typing, she was always good at English. Oh, she loved English. She could have been a good English teacher. She started typing out the college kids' term papers. And she could do that. They would give her all the notes and everything, and she would type them up with the footnotes. And that's what she was known for in Lubbock. So they divorced years later. She got married to this horrible person. Very jealous, insecure man. And let's see, it'll be 3 years that she asked for a divorce. And she was in the process of getting that separation. And she was already living with a friend. The kids have grown. She was living with a friend, and she mentioned to the friend, I got to go back to the house. There's some paperwork that I didn't get a chance to take out. What paperwork it was, I don't know. But anyway, the friend told her, he said, no, don't go there. Why don't I go with you? And she says, no, he's not home. So I'll just run in. I know where it is, and then run right out. Well, she did that. And I don't know how he found out that she was there. He came home and he shot her.
Mm.
Oh. And
wow.
Because she was going to leave him. But because she was abused so long that she finally put her foot down, and unfortunately the coward, turned the gun on himself. And so to this day, it's strange why I'm coming up with this story, because last night I had a dream about her. But anyway, I don't have any regrets to say, well, at least I got out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that's not a regret. That's a thumbs up for me.
Yeah.
That's something that I have to tell women now. Don't, if he's that type of person, seek help.
Mm-hmm.
Believe
yes.
nothing wrong. Do not be ashamed. Go to the right people. If there is help. There's an 800 number. Nobody needs to know who you are. Names aren't necessary.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Carolyn? Any regrets?
No regrets, because whatever I have gone through, or I believe in forgiveness, and I forgive me for the wrong I've done, knowingly and unknowingly, and I forgive all others who did me wrong. Mm-hmm. So I have no regrets, because whatever I've gone through, or it caused me to get to this point. Mm-hmm. And I am better. That's right, Hope. Better
than ever.
And so that's what happens as you grow older with grace. And I heard something at Hope reminded me that grow older, because the alternative is death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so just enjoy the time that you have, and don't waste it. Mm-hmm. If you don't like bingo, don't go to bingo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do what inspires you and what brings you joy.
And we'll keep on dancing, right, Carolyn?
That's right. Keep dancing.
Keep dancing and drinking that red wine. Well, I appreciate you, ladies. Is there anything else that you would want to say before we say bye?
And I encourage women, young or old, love yourself first.
Yes.
And then the love will flourish. And it's almost like an octopus. It just goes everywhere.
I love that, Hope. Thank you, ladies. This was fun. I want to have you back on. This was entertaining, and it was a lot of words of wisdom for the younger women like me. So thank you. We will end the show with this quote that Shiny Samuel Epen shared on my Facebook group page, Virago 24/7. And the quote is by Toni Morrison. If you want to fly, give up everything that weighs you down. Now go, review, rate, subscribe, and share this podcast. See you next week.